Okay, we've started the recording for those that won't be able to join us. So just to give a brief introduction, this is Covenant's community group. This is the diaspora group of the Covenant community group. Covenant community group is a community of the Covenant Nation, a church in Nigeria, pastored by Pastor Kojo Imade. And what we do is to gather once, it used to be once every quarter. I think now it's once a year to teach ourselves, learn from each other, share ideas. And for this particular group is for people in North America. And this month we're sharing ideas and our own ideas and what we've been able to gain so far in North America from the career perspective. So for this month, we had a discussion at the beginning of the month. We had a discussion last Saturday too. This is the third Saturday, and the discussion we're having today is how we can, for people that are planning to switch into nursing and tech, how they can actually switch, how easy it is, what the things they need to know, and how they need to move. So that's basically what we are doing here, and we hope more people join us as we continue. So let me give a brief introduction of our speaker. His name is Adelayi. He's a registered anesthetist. I hope I got that right. Yeah.
Close enough.
So he lives in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I met him one day. I was in the hospital, and he just came in and he saw our name, and immediately he came in and he spoke American English to us, and we were like, "Oh, we thought he was an American." And then as he was leaving, he just said, "All right, you, Mama, really tall." And we're like, "Oh, you're Nigerian." And that was how we met, and he has been a good friend. He lives in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I will just give the floor to him now. We know that when he was in Nigeria, he wasn't a nurse. He came in here now, and he's a practicing nurse. So we want him to share his ideas, how he got into nursing, what actually prompted him to go into nursing, how the journey was when he was schooling, how fast it is, how difficult it is, how easy it is, and then while working right now, how has the job been so far? So that if you have the idea of wanting to go into that line, you can actually make your decision based on the advice or the information you get from him. And then if you have any question, we will leave that to after his 10-15 minutes talk, and then we'll move into questions. We will first of all go the northern line, we'll finish that, and then we'll now go into the tech line, and then we will now start on tech discussion. So that's how we're going to that's how we have designed the discussion. So I'll give the floor to him now. Thank you, Hayo, for joining.
Thank you, my brother. So no Oyinbo English too much today. so I think it's been a blessing since meeting you guys and just kind of getting to know you guys and having you guys over for Thanksgiving. That's just been great. So back to the issues. I know getting into nursing, like I personally wasn't into nursing in Nigeria either. I was a Greek major, as a matter of fact. But Nigerian system, we entered my school in 99, and by the time I left Nigeria in 2003, I was just entry part 3 because we were always on strike. The funny Nigerian education, things that you don't usually like see here, or you don't see like private schools in Nigeria. But anyways, I would say something from the get-go. It is easier to get into anything else here if you already have a degree from Nigeria. Like you already have your bachelor's from Nigeria. It's always easier. But because I didn't finish, I was just in part 3, so I didn't finish my undergrad. So my journey then would take, it's just a little longer than what somebody that has a degree from Nigeria, than what it will be. Like I personally, like I started pretty much from the ground up when I got here for nursing. And that said, I would tell people like you can just directly, if you want to, as an adult in the US, wanting to get into nursing, if you want, you can go start by the easiest way is to go to a community college. Because as a Nigerian, you have to understand that you want to save a little money, because money is what you want eventually, or a career, but you don't want to, like, by the time you're done with the nursing, you don't want to be in like so much debt that it makes it just absolutely like ridiculous for you. So I was like, best thing, if you do not have a degree, the best pathway then is to start at a community college, and look up whichever community college that near you that has nursing, and look up the prerequisites, because that's the cheapest way. Because community colleges are like half the cost of going to a university, hands down. So you find whatever school, take the prerequisites, apply to nursing, and you can use that pathway to get into like what they call like an ADN, like associate's degree in nursing. But that's like the easiest and maybe fastest way to do it. Provided prerequisites probably will take you like a year, like 1 year or two. Uh, Depends on how fast they. If you take it full time, it will take you like maybe a year and a half for the prerequisites, because the prerequisites is like the biology classes. There's, I think it's like three of them, and you offer one like one each quarter or so. Then you have a few chemistry classes and a few things that you have to take. And again, on prerequisites, every school's prerequisite is also very different. That's why you have to like, it's really hard to say, oh, here's the prerequisites and here's a pathway to get there. Because every school's what they want is just a little bit different. It also varies based on the geographical area that you're in. So that's for if you don't have any degree from Nigeria and you want to start from scratch, going through community college, I think that's like the best and cheapest way you can do it. The second route, if you already have, let's say I finished my bachelor's in Nigeria and now I'm here. I want to do nursing, and there's two things that you can do. They have one pathway called the direct entry MSN, and they have another pathway called the accelerated BSN. Essentially, first of all, you have to convert that degree that you have from Nigeria. You have to convert it to the American education system, because you know our GPS system is a little different. So using, like, I think it's the World Education Service, you have to like pay them so they can convert your degree to like the American system before you can even like further any of that. So for these two pathways, like I'm actually just advising one of my friends in Ohio who went to secondary school together. He's trying to do the same thing. So he's in kind of solar system installation over there. Now he wants to do nursing because Ohio apparently doesn't want to pay him anything for the degree that he just got. So I'm advising him to like go and find an accelerated nursing degree. Accelerated nursing degrees, either BSN or the MSN, takes about 12 to 16 months for the whole program itself. So if you plan, let's say 3 years, again, each program, either the accelerated MSN or accelerated BSN, they have per school, they all have the requirements. So let's say you're an engineering major from Nigeria, and now you're here. You don't have, maybe you don't have most of the biology classes, or like if they say, oh, your biology classes after you do the West is expired. So you still have to go back to either, the best way to do is go to a community college and get those classes for whatever school you want to apply for. They will have, each school has their own requirements. That's why it's best to go to the school and see which science requirements they want that you don't have. And then you go to a community college, apply there, and then take those classes. And the classes, like I said, depends on how fast you take, because we are here as, you know, adults trying to make ends meet. Sometimes you can't afford to like go to school full time and work full time. Sometimes it's just impossible. And that's like the fastest way you can knock all these classes out, like let's say within a year. So let's just say you put 1 year to prerequisites and then go do another 12 months of the actual program. And then you have your BSN or you have your MSN. Then the direct entry MSN programs, they're like also very similar. They have the prerequisites. You can take the prerequisites and then apply to the program. And once you get to the program, in 12 to 16 months, you can teach for your RN license and get your either your BSN again or your MSN at the end. The biggest thing is either the 12-month program or the 16-month program. In the program itself, once you finish that 1 year, you're liable to sit for the NCLEX, which, so that says if you took the prerequisites 1 year, if you already have a degree from Nigeria, you took a prerequisite for 1 year, you can finish everything that time. Even, let's just say, a year and a half. You took a prerequisite for 1.5 years, you take this 1 year course, so you're at 2.5 years. We know we can do anything in 2.5 years. 2.5 years, you can take your NCLEX, which is like the national exam for RN. Okay, so 2.5 years of grinding, because like we all know, nothing good comes easy. It's busy work, but we are Nigerians, we're used to that. We can do it, we can make it work. So busy work, and 2.5 years later, you have your RN. You can, and then after that, you can choose whatever pathway in nursing that you want to do. If you want just a straight up MSN, you can finish your MSN, and then either you go teach, or you just work somewhere and just know you have your master's of science in nursing. Or after that, you have 2 other pathways after MSN if you want to continue on. I personally, I'm a certified registered nurse anesthetist, which means I give anesthesia to patients undergoing any kind of surgery. And for that pathway, after my BSN, of course, you have to work in ICU. I worked in ICU for like 4 years, and then I applied to the specific grad school for anesthesia. And those ones now, they're now doctorate programs, but when I went, they were still masters. And that's approximately like 3 years of very hard labor, to get to that one. But after that, you can, I mean, again, if I can do it, I think anybody can do it. After the 3 years, you of course have to sit for another board. So you sit for your NCLEX, which is your first boards, and then you go for anesthesia, then of course work in the ICU, and then apply to like this 3-year program. And then after you finish that, then you can become what's called a CRNA. Or if you choose to be like a nurse practitioner, you can also, of course, that's also post-baccalaureate. So finish your bachelor's, and then you apply to nurse practitioner programs, and then you choose which kind of nurse practitioner you want to be, and then you apply to that kind of program. So they also, I think those are like 1 to 2 years also post. So me saying that, if you choose the NP route in 4 years, in approximately 4 years, so 1.5 years for, let's just say, prerequisites, 1 year for accelerator program, that's already like 2.5 years. Plus, let's say you take 1 year to work, that's 3.5 years. And then you apply to like an NP program, which is like a year or 18 months, that's like about 4.5 years. So in 4.5 years, you can become either a nurse practitioner, or maybe let's say in 7 years or so, you can become a CRNA. But that's from the time, but within that time, it's not like you're not making any money. You can be working as a nurse as short as like 2 years. That's the beauty of the accelerated programs. I actually like pulled up on my screen. I'm gonna share my screen real quick. Let's see. Yep. Okay. I should pull up on my screen so you can see some of the direct. This is like a direct entry MSN, and this one is from Marquette University, which is by us here. You can see there, Marquette University direct entry is not for everyone. Of course, it's not. If you hold a non-nursing bachelor's degree with a minimum cumulative GPA of 3.0. So that said, a minimum cumulative of 3.0 means you have to first use that WES, which is a World Education Service, to convert your degree to know what your US equivalent or the Western equivalent of that GPA is to get that. And then it says complete all required prerequisites with a grade of C or higher. When they say grade of C or higher, let me tell you, everybody else is coming in with a grade of A. So if you come in with a grade of C, most likely you will not get in. So I always tell everybody, preferably try and get A's and B's. Don't let them fool you by saying get a grade of C or better to get in, because that's a gimmick that they'll use. Like that's the minimum requirement, but there's like 200 other people with higher than the minimum requirement, which, in Nigeria, if you get a C, that's passing. In the US, if you get a C, that's like not so much passing. And then if we let's look at the next tab. Okay. So here's another one. This is another school like by us here. This is like an accelerated BSN. And I pulled all this up just to like have a look. This is a Bachelor of Science in Nursing with the accelerated. This one is in 12 months, you can get your BSN. And this is like a public university close to us. This is in Oshkosh, like an hour and a half to 2 hours from us. And all of them, again, they have their own requirements. This one is prior completion of a bachelor's, which you probably already have from Nigeria, minimum GPA of 2.5, minimum of pre-nursing GPA. So your pre-nursing GPA of 3.0 is an average of like a B. And that's, I should put it this way, you want a little higher than a 3.0. At minimum, get a 3.0, okay? But this from all the classes, that's like the chemistry, the biology, all the non-nursing classes that they want you to take before they even take it. So they want a minimum of that. And of course, criminal background check, completion of CNA, which is like a nursing assistant. They want you to complete that. Again, every school has their own, even though this school says students educated outside the United States must submit evidence of English language proficiency by scoring at least 71 on the TOEFL. Most Nigerians don't probably need to take the TOEFL because I remember when I was getting into one of the universities for my undergrad after finishing my kind of associates this is in Washington State. The university that I transferred to, they wanted me to take the TOEFL, and I said, no, we speak English in Nigeria. And I'm not on a student visa. I'm a permanent resident here. Like, I don't need to go and take another exam that you want to take my money for. So you can test out of this. Or sometimes you can just talk to them and say no, and just tell them like, no, I speak English naturally, and they might give you like a waiver. Most schools will give Nigerians like a waiver. Most people don't know that, but you have to like go talk to them and say, I want to like either test out of this requirement or something. So, and then you have like, of course, a credential evaluation and all this stuff. And then here's my actual undergrad. This is where I went to for undergrad in Seattle. They also have one, like I said, most schools have some sort of accelerated nursing program. You can see this one is 60 credits. It gives you like an accelerated BSN. Most of them, you can just send them an email, like where it says, get more information. Almost all the schools have that. And they will send you like a load of information. Let's think about it this way. Every school needs students because students bring money. Even though you're looking for a better future, they're also looking for people that will come in and pay them so they can like continue serving the community and continue like making sure like people will also like, bring their money and they can get whatever they want to. And sometimes I say it doesn't really matter what school you go to, but try and make it don't just choose like one of those like online schools that nobody really knows about, because that's one thing, because they might not be able to help you versus say let's say me and Adeoye now we're going to UW Milwaukee, which is just close to us over here, and I have a problem with something. I can easily just go to them and say, hey, I need help with this. Like, I'm going to make an appointment and come into the office and we can work this out. So if you can find a place that's brick and mortar, which is like physical location next to you, sometimes it might be just a little bit better. That said, you can find multiple online ones as long as you can take the prerequisites or look up the prerequisites. And here's one thing I also want to say: you also have to consider the cost. And the reason I say that is, go see any one of us, do I see America just being too much busy. Nobody wants to be in debt in this country, even though it might be difficult to pay for all your tuition and all that out of pocket. The reason why I'm saying that is, don't be afraid to move from one location for school to another location that has a much cheaper education over there. Again, I was already in in Washington, and then I moved to Pennsylvania for grad school. So in short, there's multiple avenues to get to where we need to go when it comes to nursing. And there's multiple avenues post your RN license that you can do for nursing. If anyone has any questions, of course, Adeoye is my guy. I'm here, and we can help people get to where they need to go. Good. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that detailed explanation. I hope we all gained one or two things from the detailed explanation you just gave us. If you have a degree in Nigeria, there's a part that is best for you. If you don't have a degree, there is also another part that is best for you. So depending on which one you fall into, you can now decide on the way you want to go. Is there anybody that has a question, please? If you have a question, okay. I think someone's hand is raised up. If you have a question now, you can unmute. Can you unmute and ask your question? Anyone? I can see one hand raised.
Oh yes, I raised my hand.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Ayo, for that session. I'm a big fan of your work, so I'm really glad I got to sit in the same room with you today. I guess my question is, I've heard, like, I have a lot of friends in the industry and are looking to move to that space. And I'd read somewhere about like some schools that are like not authentic, or they're false. And I know you touched on it briefly. So I was hoping you could help us or shed more light to that, on like finding the right schools, because I know like some people actually got their degrees renounced, revoked, because the school did not have the proper accreditation. So like, how do we navigate that and ensure that we're going to the right schools if we want to switch to nursing, so we don't like fall in that
crack? So, and that's one of the reasons why I said it's better if you have someplace local, someplace brick and mortar, like a local university or local community college next to you. That's why I said that, because I think there was that program in Florida that preyed on all of people coming from Africa and Asia. And they essentially they never took a class. They essentially just prepped them on how to take the test. So all those people now went to New York to get licenses in New York. And those are the people now, after the school was investigated by the feds, all those licenses from this program that were licensed, because it was easy for them to get the license in New York, all of them, the licenses are going to be revoked. That's why. So if you find a program that says, no, you wouldn't have to, all your classes online and it's just prep work, just no prep work for just to take the NCLEX, maybe you run from that one, But most schools around you, most physical schools around you will be trustworthy enough to where you can trust them to give you the education that you need. Again, any public school, they can't steer you wrong. Any public school cannot steer you. Private schools, some of them can be a little sketchy. If you have doubts, ask one of your friends, have somebody else in the profession, like, hey, help me take a look at this school and let me know what you think. Because again, that's why we have cohorts. That's why we have people like peers and professional peers that you can like run things by. So if you think it's sketchy, it's probably sketchy. So yeah. But again, on the cost, just look at ones that have like the lower cost. But if you think it's like it's too good to be true, most likely it is too good to be true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. I do have a follow-up question. My hands are still in my hands. I have a follow-up question, which is, I know you mentioned that we should, aim for like the ones that have lower cost versus higher cost. Like, can you give us a range for us to like know, okay, if you want to do a nursing degree, like budget, like, lower end of this amount to higher end of this amount for you to have like a solid, program start to finish?
I mean, cost-wise also varies by where you are. That's another thing. So if like here in the Midwest, cost is a little cheaper. But now you go to West Coast, cost is higher. You go to East Coast because they have multiple programs that will be also like slightly lower over there. So, but cost-wise, I think, I mean, back in the day, it was like maybe you spend an average of like 35,000 because education here is definitely not the same as education in Nigeria. It's just expensive. That's why I always ask if you can finish your degree in Nigeria, finish it first before coming here. So average, even for the prereqs, even though they might be between 800 to like 1,200 bucks a credit, it adds up. It can, even for a community college, it adds up. But if you're a permanent resident making whatever amount of money, if it's less than a threshold, you can also get what they call like Pell Grants, which is not a loan. It's like almost like a grant from the government because you make below a certain amount of money. You can get what we call Pell Grants. And I always say, if you really want to do the nursing, get the loans, work. You can work full time, and you can. I did school full time, and I work full time because I got family to support in Nigeria. It's doable. You will not have a life outside of work and school. But don't get me wrong, all the people, all the friends that, your good friends will still be there when you're done with your stuff. That is the thing. Because I had friends and they would just want to go hang out on the weekend. I'm like, I'm working on the weekend. I'm going to school during the week. I have no time. So you can do it. And that helps pay for some of that stuff. So you don't have to like take all the loans. But if you have to take some of the loans, still work. Please don't take way too much than you need. Just take just enough to pay your tuition. The rest of the stuff, find a way to pay for it. But the good thing is in this country, if you finish your nursing degree, you can pay those loans back eventually because your salary at the end of the day will be good enough to where you can survive. Okay, you can survive, which means survive and pay your loans, have a good life, and enjoy what you do. That's I think that's an important thing. I think there's a question here. Let me see.
Some question from Buki.
Yeah, I think she said our accelerated nursing programs good. Yeah, they're good because the key is, so let me rephrase. They're good for you to get where you need to go. If you're in a local area, if you're in a local area, let's say you're in our area, and then you go do the accelerated nursing. If you did it from Marquette or there's no hospital in our area that you would go and try to apply for with the Marquette RN license that you won't get the job. That's so it doesn't really matter like where you take your stuff as long as you're able to like pass your RN, and RN is a RN, provided some might have better thinking than others, but again, an RN, the one who takes the test today is the same one as the same one who takes the test yesterday. So once you pass that national standard, you're officially an RN. So yeah. So yeah, if you have fun accelerator program, yeah. If you think it's sketchy, like I said, have somebody else look at it.
Thank you for that. Neoma said, I absolutely agree with you. Very true. Just went through the process, and my tuition as an international student were very high. Yeah. Well, I think that's true. It's
yeah. I mean, for international students, and even think of it for the cost, you're paying maybe double what a permanent resident or a citizen will be paying, because it's the cost they use to like keep you here, which I understand. You're taking the same education, but as an international student, and the bad thing again as an international student is you don't have access to like the Pell Grants that I just mentioned or the student loans. Yeah, see, 25K for prerequisites. So let's say she spent 25,000 for prerequisites. Someone who has out of pocket, oh my goodness, God bless you, my sister. God bless you. Wow, that's insane. So now let's say somebody who's like, who came, because when I came to the visa lottery, so I had I had my green card, so I can apply for the Pell Grant. When I finished my associate's degree before I transferred to the university, I had 0 loans. I was working full time. I was paying what I can for my stuff plus the Pell Grants. I had no loans, and I think the cost then, this was 2003 to 05, the cost then was around maybe 15 to 16,000 total. But my friend who's from Ghana, who's an international student, I think at that time he was paying like close to like 30 grand or something, for the whole time, for the same period that I was paying half of what he's paying, because international students, it's like the cost is like so much higher than anything. So we can average what she said, 8K for nursing school. You can average that to like half for someone who's like a permanent resident or United States citizen. You can average that to like half.
Thank you very much. Neoma, do you want to talk? Do you want to say anything? Do you want to switch on your camera? You're giving us so much information. So we'll if you want to say something or you want to switch on your camera.
Can you hear me? Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry I can't turn on my camera. I'm not camera ready.
No problem.
Yeah, I'm a new grad RN. I just graduated this year. So this is giving you fresh information. For the 80K, I'm an F1 student, international student, so I can actually relate. I switched from the tech to nursing. So I'm like, let me join and just give my 2 cents.
20 cents.
Yeah.
Yes, so you are the poster child for our session today. Should I put you on the poster? You switch from tech to nursing.
Yeah, from business, from management to tech, then nursing. Wow. So this is my third career path. Yeah. So,
interesting.
Yeah. So
I feel like we'll have questions for you later.
Yes. Sure, I'm open to sharing because I wish I had such a forum like this before I started. It was just patch here and there. And I'm glad I was able to make it through nursing school. Nursing school, like Mr. Ayos rightly said, is no joke. It is no joke. The prerequisites, I started the journey in 2019 and actually graduated from nursing school March of this year. So it was quite a journey. So yeah, just the prerequisites, and for 5 semesters, that was 25K I paid. And as international student, we're expected to pay as soon as possible, like instantly. They don't care where the money is coming from. And for the program, so I did a special program called yes, that's true, Buki. So I did a special program called Master's Entry Nursing Program. So it's a program for those who already have their bachelor's in something and already completed the prerequisite. So it's a form of accelerated MSN program. So it's just like, so it was really intense. So it's like you're jumping from your BSN and ADN and you are going to Master's. Like that's really a high jump. Well, it was worth it because come to think about it, like in perspective, like the amount I spent, the 80K, I would have spent more if I went through the traditional way, if I went through the ADN route or the BSN route, because accelerated BSN is good. I thought about going that route, but when I looked at, I already have a degree, something else, and I already have my prerequisites, which is not yet expired. That is also something everyone needs to pay attention to.
That's why I said if it's not expired, because in the US, sometimes depends on the school too. Some schools that say your classes, if it's like less than 5 years, that's good. Some classes is like, if it's less than 10 years, that's good. It's just a way for them. And then, I mean, if you go to a school that has like a short one, like 5 years, I mean, that's a lot of money for each class that you have to take again, if you're ready,
Yeah.
Can you please help us round up, Neoma, because of time?
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so just around it, I'm almost there. So that I was just trying to explain what the Master's Entry Nursing Program, in case anyone is also interested in doing such thing, is also something to think about. Instead of going through the BSN accelerated, you could also do that and you graduate with your MSN as well as you're able to write the board exam and become a registered nurse. Thank you for listening to me, everyone.
All right, thank you. One question just came in, and this will be our final question. She said, Erifa wants to know if she can convert a nursing degree from Finland in the US or Canada. Is there a pathway for this? Can she take a conversion exam?
Unfortunately, there is not.
Wow.
Yeah, the US, they only have one pathway, and that's just the NCLEX. So the only way she can convert is to like either talk to the board, and because sometimes they do case by case things, because in the past they've hired a bunch of nurses from the Philippines, and all they had to go do is submit requirements and then go take the NCLEX. So for this person, they would still, either they like it or not, they still have to take the NCLEX. There's no like direct conversion from any outside of the United States RN to like an RN degree, to like an RN license. So the NCLEX is like the only pathway. So to like get credential like here in the US to work as a nurse, unfortunately. Even like Canada is like right there. You think they will have something similar they can just convert.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for all your questions. We thought we were going to be able to do this in 30 minutes, but we shot the time to 45 minutes. But again, the most important thing is for us to get good information that we can work with. And I think we actually, we did justice to that. That's the most important thing. So we want to say thank you to Ayo for joining. Thank you to everybody that asked questions. I hope we get one or two things from this. Thank you so much, Ayo, for joining.
Not a problem. And
Thank
again,
you.
not a problem, guys. And if anyone has any specific questions, they can get my number from Adeoye, and I'm always happy to like help anybody out. And in all honesty, we have a Nigerian, all Nigerian like anesthesia or CRNA WhatsApp group. Like if someone is like interested in that pathway for anesthesia, they can talk to like the group, and people can help them what to do to like get there eventually.
Oh.
So if anybody has any questions, you can get my number from Andrew.
All right, thank you so much. You just give us a license. You just give me the license to give out his number. So if you want that, you can just chat me up. Thank you so much. We can release you now. Thank you for joining. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks. I'm going to listen to the tech one too, because we have people, we have people everywhere always have questions stuff. So
all right, so I'll give the floor to FT. FT will start the tech side of it, and then we will start, and then we'll move on from there. So FT, you have the floor now.
Okay. Yes. So thank you for that amazing session, Mr. Ayo. It's a privilege to be speaking right after you. I think at this point, Captain, can you please share the slides? Okay. That would be helpful. So now we're moving to the tech side, and we're going to be talking about like switching to the tech industry. The tech industry in particular, we split it into like technical roles and non-technical roles. So I guess the first question we should ask is, why do you want to switch to tech? Tech now being the industry, whether technical or non-technical. I'll open the floor if anyone has an answer. Is there anyone that wants to switch to tech? If they could just tell us like why they would like to switch to tech. The floor is open, everyone. This is supposed to be like an engaging, interactive session.
I mean, I think tech is great.
Help us, sister.
Yeah, tech is great. I mean, being in Seattle, there's like everybody around me is in tech or engineering. I'm like, science is medical, I mean, I think people who do it, they just have the passion for it. And I think personally, I think it's interesting because I have a lot of family that works with Boeing, and them making airplanes and doing all this tech things. I think it's fascinating to me personally, but okay. I leave it to the professionals.
Okay, tech is fascinating. I think Prof had mentioned last week that tech is where the money is as well. Okay, Buki said she wants more money. Okay, interesting. So it's money. Buki hit the nail on the head for a lot of us. For the
I see that
money,
no
who is
one
there for the
wanted to
money?
say anything. So I just said, you know what? Let's just say the thing that nobody wants to say. And he's thinking.
Anna said plenty money. Okay. So I've not heard anybody talk about passion or to solve problems. Okay. Me, I moved to tech because of passion, because I have a passion for money and money has a passion for me. So we love each other. Okay, it's interesting. It's all about the Benjis. Okay. Passion has to pay. Exactly. It's a passion that pays. It's a profitable passion, right? Okay. Yeah, those are like, really, really great reasons why a lot of people move to tech, especially after the tech boom. Yes, ease of working, another very, very valid point. Ease of working because it affords you the opportunity to work remotely and work from anywhere. I get excited whenever I learn something new, especially in Python. Okay, looks like we have some passionate people here who are passionate about tech, the environment of collaboration and new technology and working environments. Okay, Petrina is sounding like a Texas. Okay, Petrina moved to tech or wants to move. Petrina, are you in tech? Petrina is in tech. So she moved to tech because of collaboration. Over to you. Coders, we hear you. Let the non-coders breathe, please. Petrina, you wanted to say something?
No.
Okay. Okay, Mr. David said he got interested after some research work programming during his master's. So, Mr. David, was your master's degree in tech too?
No, in mechanical engineering. So I switched.
Mechanical engineering.
And
It's still kind of tech, no?
Okay, all right, if you say so.
Okay, so we have like passion from what we've seen. What is resonating here is like passion, curiosity, collaboration, flexibility of work. It's interesting for the money. A lot of people said for the money. All very valid points. Okay, Miwani said money. All very, very valid points. Like why tech for the money? So can we move to the next deck, please? So it's interesting to see like a lot of people are interested in tech, and I think we also missed one very critical point that makes most people move to tech, which is sponsorship. Tech companies, tech programs give you like, if you're in a master's program and it's STEM, then it gives you up to like 3 years OPT, which gives you more time to get your work authorization, and also gives you opportunity to enter into a company that is more willing to file for you. So yeah, those are like very valid reasons why people move to tech. And like for the tech industry, we kind of split it into like the technical track and the non-technical track. So like I'll just be going over the non-technical track real quick. So examples of roles in non-technical track would be like product manager, program manager, customer success manager, product marketing manager, tech recruiter, project manager. And I think one thing I need to highlight is the fact that moving to tech doesn't necessarily mean being in a tech role, doesn't necessarily mean pivoting your careers. So guess what? Whatever career you have right now is translatable to tech. Yes, I said it. I'll say it again. Whatever career you have right now, you have skills that are translatable to tech, including Mr. Ayo, who is a CRNA and a boss in a hospital in Milwaukee. Whatever career you have right now is translatable to tech. Every tech companies, non-profits too, yes, tech companies have their CSR arms. There was a time in my life when I wanted to work in CSR in like a tech company. Tech companies have CSR arms. Every career whatsoever, even if you're a medical doctor, you can move to medical research in a tech company. You can move to, if you're a nurse, you can do the same. There is whatever skills you have is translatable to a tech industry. So like, I think the first question we need to know for ourselves is, are you really looking for a career pivot, or you're looking to change industries. So if you're looking to change industries, it's a little more much easier because you can translate whatever skills you have or your career and just move it to like another industry. It's just like you know, packing your stuff and moving to a new house. Same things for new house, same role, new industry, same role, moving from healthcare to tech, which is an example of what I did. And then if you're also looking to move to tech as a technical person, then that's when we'll classify that as like a career pivot, because you're changing roles and then you're changing industries. I hope that is where it provides some helpful context. Please stop me if you have questions. Let me check if you have questions. No questions so far. Are we on track?
Yes, we are.
Okay, perfect. So whatever roles you have, whatever career you have, it's actually translatable to the tech industry, right? So, sorry, please 1 second. I need to, okay. Yeah, so whatever roles you have, it's translatable to the tech space. An example of what I talked about was like product manager, project manager, product marketing manager, because guess what? All of these companies have, every company has these roles, and tech companies have these roles. For example, you're a recruiter in finance. Tech companies too need recruiters. If you're passionate about what you're doing and maybe you just want to change industry, or you want to go for the money, or you're just curious as to like, what's the big deal about tech? Let me switch to tech. You don't necessarily have pivots. You can actually become like a tech recruiter. There will just be some other ones you need to do to upskill to get you closer to where you want. That is for the non-technical track. Then for the technical track, I feel like, Captain, do you want to touch on it, or do you want me to like finish non-technical and then we move to the technical track?
You can continue. Yeah, we'll move to technical track once you're done.
Okay, perfect. So for the non-technical track, I feel like it's, personally, I'm a firm believer of the fact that everybody has something they can work with. When Jesus wanted to feed the 5,000 people, he needed something to work with. Is there food anywhere? They brought a boy. He had 5 loaves and 2 fish. And what did he do? He blessed it and he multiplied it and he fed all of those people. I'm a firm believer that whatever you want to do, you have it in you already. You just need to recognize it and then upskill. For example, you are currently a project manager, or let me look for another one. Let's say you're currently, pardon me?
That is Scrum Master.
Okay, so you're currently a Scrum Master Scrum Master is kind of like a techie role because it's not really in other industries. Is there Scrum Master in finance?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that answer. So if you are a Scrum Master in finance, for example, in the finance industry, and you want to move to tech, and you're like, I just want to be in the tech space. I just want to be in the tech space. I feel like that's the time for you to sit yourself down and ask yourself, why do I want to move to the tech space? Are you looking for a complete change? Or are you looking for a role in particular? Like, I want to move to the tech space. I want to be a software engineer. Or you just want to move to a tech space. Have that conversation with yourself. If it is that you want to move to a tech space as a software engineer, then that's like you're pivoting and that's like a different trajectory entirely. But if it's that you want to move to this tech space and you love what you do, you just want to do it in another space where you feel like you have more visibility, you'll be able to upskill, you'll be able to earn more, you have more flexibility, you have more money, you work with more brilliant, you work with, people that will challenge you because they're not in an industry that you're comfortable with, then you can just say, okay, look at like Scrum Master or equivalent positions in the tech space, project manager, program manager. Look look at those job descriptions, look at the roles, look at people that are currently working those roles, check their qualifications, check their career path, check and see if there is any similarity whatsoever. If there is any similarity whatsoever, which chances are that if you're already a Scrum Master and they're doing the same thing in that space, read up on what's going on in that space, network, meet people, use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is an underrated tool. Use LinkedIn, connect with people. And then like you will start to notice like a knowledge gap between where you are and where you want to be, aka as a Scrum Master or a project manager or a program manager in tech space. As you identify those knowledge gaps, start to take steps to bridge the gaps. Start to learn, start to research, start to read up, start to study, start to, watch videos, just immerse yourself and ensure that you're upskilling. And then in a matter of time, you would see that you are actually able to perform very easily in that space. So that's for the technical space. If you also want to pivot, or if you find that, there is, I feel like another thing that can be confusing is like the titles of positions. For example, let's say I had like 5 roles that I wanted to be in. I did not limit myself to like, oh, I must be this role. I would just see a role. I'll be like, this role sounds interesting. What do they do? And then I'll just, read up on it. I'm like, oh, it's actually quite similar. I can actually do this. And then I'll write it. I wrote down like 5 roles that I could do based with what I had in a different industry. So like, you should also like try to be like flexible and do your research in the new industry that you're going to, because chances are they might have a different terminology from what you're used to, and you might just like, self-sabotage or like deny yourself the opportunity of actually doing that. Or like, for example, you can see a role like finance manager or data manager, and you'll think that it's actually a manager, whereas it's not really a managerial position. It's just like in that space, in that company, is a data analyst, but they call it data manager in that space. So like try to understand, possible roles that are applicable for you, and then write all of them down. And then you will be more, I feel like you will be more able to know how to tune your resume, how to bridge the knowledge gap, how to identify the knowledge gap, and how to position yourself to make the best use of the opportunities when they do come. So like for the non-technical track, if for some reason, let's say you're just new to the US, you don't have any experience whatsoever or experience from Nigeria whatsoever, I feel like important certifications or degrees that will be helpful or that will position you better to get a chance at getting those jobs would be like getting a master's degree in like, and getting an MSc, an MSB, a Master's in Business Analytics, or an MBA. An MBA is it's an easy or a fast track to becoming a product manager. I know a lot of people vie for that role, product manager. MBAs usually are very helpful for becoming like a product manager. Then you can also like do certifications, like the Scrum certification. I know that the Scrum certification is kind of cliche right now because a lot of people are doing it and they're complaining that there are not as many jobs. However, like it's a first step, and having it on your resume definitely helps you stand out from all the others that don't have any certification whatsoever. A PMP also is quite helpful. Okay, yes, thank you, Buki. Buki also mentioned boot camps. Boot camps are really helpful tools. Like there are data boot camps that would give you like quick intro to like high level, data analytics that will not be that technical, but can help you, have a better chance at getting a role in the tech space, for example. The PMP certification as well. If you're looking to get a PMP, I recommend doing like a Scrum certification first, because it helps you like a background or a framework to work with or to build on to become like a PMP. And for PMP, anybody and everybody can get a PMP. You don't even need like any I know that you're required to have like certain number of hours of project management, but guess what? most Nigerians at some point in time, most of us have managed one project or the other, at work, in NYSC, in church, anywhere. Those hours actually count. So it depends on how it matters how you're able to harness those resources or harness the experience that you already have and leverage that to get you from where you are to where you want to be. I feel like I might have said a little too much now, so I'll just like pause now and give us a few minutes to ask questions, or no, I think it's better for
Okay.
Captain to go first. Buki has a question. Buki, can we take your question after Captain so that
I just wanted to weigh in on the PMP thing you said. So
okay.
PMP now has an agile track, which is basically Scrum within it, the new revised project management. So if you want to go to that route, you don't need to go do Scrum first before you go, because in the curriculum now, they have adopted agile methodology, which is basically Scrum, just FYI.
Yes, very, very valid call out, Buki. Yes, I actually took the track with the agile methodology. So like it did have like some 30% Scrum, which is helpful as well, for sure.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. My own job is just to explain the technical track and to explain how you can actually switch to technical track. One thing I'll first of all say is that for the technical track, every role in the technical track has a bit of programming in it. But when you are now a developer, you do more of programming. But whether you are a QA or you are a cloud support person, you will still write an SQL code. You still write SQL code. If you're a database administrator, you still program in SQL and all sorts. So every technical track every technical roles in tech has a bit of programming in it. And one thing I always say to people that want to go into programming is this. First thing first, how is your maths game? How is your maths game in school? When you were in secondary, when you were in college, how is your maths game? If you are comfortable with mathematics, if you are good with maths, if you can still sit down, just read 1 or 2 books and remember your simultaneous equation, your dy dx, if everything can still flow in you, then I think you will grab fast, and then you'll be able to learn fast in the track. Because truth be told, programming is just about the core of programming. The background is mathematics and physics. So if you're a science student in school, how is your physics game too? If you can hold yourself, you can hold your own in those 2 areas, and you're very good in those 2 areas, then this track is good for you. You'll be able to learn fast. It's not that if you're not good in maths, you can't do it. You can, but it might take a while before you grab it. And if you don't have that zeal and desire, you might get frustrated on the road. That's when you start hearing people tell you that how is Python, and they say the thing has already bite him and he doesn't want to continue anymore. It's just a matter of that math game. If your mathematics background is solid, then you will grab fast. So that's the first thing you should check. If your math game is good, then good, you can come into it, and then you'll be able to grab it fast. Where do you learn? Thanks to what Buki said the other time, if you can go to boot camps, yes, you can go to boot camps. If you can go to school for masters, you can go to school for masters. If you're ready to take the loan or you can pay, then you can go to school for masters, and then or you can go to boot camp is the best if you don't have a tech background. Excuse me. The reason is because they are just going to focus what you're doing into programming. They focus all your energy in programming. That is what you're learning. If you want to learn database, they focus all your energy in that. If you go for masters, they'll teach you programming, they'll teach you database, they'll teach you a bit of cloud and all those things. But if you go into boot camps, they will direct what you want to learn. They will direct you to the particular thing you want to learn, that particular tech area you want to learn, whether QA or just programming or just cloud or just database. They direct you there. That's if you feel that you want to go to school to learn. But if your maths game is so good that you're so sure of yourself, that your maths game is super, then I tell you, you can learn on your own. It's possible. I started learning programming on my own before they started teaching us in school. So you can always learn on your own. It will take time. At first, it might not make sense. It might be rough. But if with doggedness, if you continue with it and you keep reading, after some few months, you'll notice that you can now start to put the dots together. The thing is making sense. The thing they're teaching you now, you can relate to it. And then you keep moving on like that. And before you know it, you'll be at a level where you can actually apply for jobs and start taking interviews, because that's another topic entirely. Passing tech interviews is another topic on its own entirely. If you're looking for where to learn, if you want to learn on your own, there's Udemy, there's Coursera, there's Pluralsight. I used to learn Scala on Pluralsight when I just started. All these ones are paid for, so you have to pay for them. But I tell people the best resource, for me, the best of the best resource is still free, which is YouTube. You can practically learn anything you want to learn on YouTube. Just search for it, look for a 10-hour, a 12-hour video on that particular thing. Like if you go to YouTube, you want to learn Python, you'll see some 10 hours, 12 hours program, Python from scratch. Just go through them. It might take you like 24, 48 hours to watch everything and practice it. But I tell you, those ones are still the best. They are the best for if you want to learn free. That's it now. If you want to learn and you want to do it free. And then those people also explain very well. You can rewind, listen to the explanation again. I, as a person, I learned Python on YouTube, majorly on YouTube. I just sat down for a weekend, and then I was able to grab Python on its own. So, but again, I have programming knowledge before I did that. So you might not be able to grab it on a weekend. It might take months before you grab it. And once you grab it, and then you'll be able to move on. I want to explain one thing about programming for those that want to go into it. In programming, there's something we call concepts, and there's something we call syntax. Programming is, the concept of programming is the same, no matter the language you want to learn. If you want to learn Java, or you want to learn C or C# or Python, no matter the language you want to learn, the concept of programming is the same across all boards. However, these programming languages have different syntax. The syntax is different. So the same concept, but the syntax at which you're going to express it in Java, it will be different from the syntax you're going to express it in another way. So that is why the first one you're going to learn, you'll be learning the concept and the syntax. So it will take more time. You'll spend a lot of months on that because you're learning the concept and the syntax. The concept being the most important thing, that's the background. So it might take you some time before you grab the concept. But once you grab that, it's just once. Once you grab that, then you can now learn the first programming. You can now practicalize the concept with your first programming language. And then once you do that, you move to the second one, and then you move to the third one. So the same syntax, what you're just now using is practicalizing that syntax with different programming languages by learning their practicalizing the concepts with different programming languages by learning their syntax. So that's one thing. Once you learn your first one and you're good in it, you can learn any other one within 1 weekend. That's one thing. Within 1 weekend, you can learn any other one, but the first one might take time. Also in database too, you have the SQL you write in Microsoft products will be different from the one you will write in Oracle products, but the concept is the same. So when you're learning your first one, it might take more time. Don't get tired of it. Keep learning, keep learning, keep learning. After a while, you get used to it, you understand it more, and then you'll be able to push forward. I personally used to teach. I used to teach people, but before I teach, one thing I always do is to check your maths game. I always try to check your maths game and see how your maths game is. If your maths game is good, then I continue teaching, because with that means you grab fast, and then the person will give me less problems. So I used to check. That's the first thing I do to check the maths game. I teach for free. If I see anyone that has the passion to learn, I teach for free. We can teach online once you have the time, and then I can see that your maths game is good. So I think I've covered everything. If you want to go for masters, go for masters. But for me, I still feel that if you want to learn and go to school, the best is to go to boot camps, because they actually streamline you to that particular thing you want to learn. in a short period of time, bootcamp is the best. But if you're still an international student and you might need work authorization and all, then you might be thinking about going for masters. And then if you don't want to go for masters, you want to learn on your own, you can use the online classes, the one that is paid for, or the ones that is free on YouTube. I think I've been able to cover everything we need, I feel we need to know concerning the technical area. Don't forget, first and first, check your maths game. If that is good, I think you'll grab fast and you won't have a lot of problems. I think we can move to questions now. If you have questions, you can, okay, Buki has a question. Okay, so you can take the floor.
Okay, hi. So someone just, I think, pinged me directly saying I should give insights to Agile boot camps.
Oh, okay.
So for Agile, which is basically the most common Agile methodology we talk about everywhere, Scrum, being a Scrum Master, there are a lot of boot camps out there, and they promise not, I won't say boot camps, but like trainings that a lot of Nigerians are giving. And they promise so many things. They're going to handhold you. They're going to hold you through the process and everything. But I know so many people that have taken different ones. And a lot of times the story is the same. Once they're done giving you the material, they just move on and they really don't provide the extra support that they have promised you before they got your money, right? There's only one bootcamp that I know that does that. I can refer you. We can connect offline after this and I can connect you with the person. But you just have to be careful because everybody is a Scrum, what do they call it? Everybody's a Scrum teacher right now. Everybody's teaching Scrum, like everybody. But then, like Captain had said, there's a lot of Scrum material. There are really a lot of, I have taken Scrum, but I did my Scrum boot camp with Georgia Tech. And that was like back in 2018. But for someone transitioning into the system now, there's a different way, you know, like to help you adapt better. And we can talk about that offline, but just to say that you have to be careful whatever program you choose, right? So, yeah, so that's about it about Scrum.
Okay. Thank you. I hope I'm still all right. We will welcome any other questions, whether you want to ask questions in the technical area or the non-technical area. You can ask your questions. Yeah, I quite agree with that. Once you're above 30 and any education you're going through, it's you get distracted easily, and then it takes more effort for you to concentrate than when you're still in your very youthful age.
It looks like our session was pretty self-explanatory and no one has questions.
Okay.
Buki, your hands are still raised though. Do you have more questions? Let's connect about Scrum offline.
Sorry, I don't have more questions, but I just wanted to weigh in on like functional roles. I know you had already started that, Fehintolu. Like there's just so much. So guys, what I'm weighing in is I'm in tech. So there's just so much about tech that don't be scared to put yourself out there, right? You don't have to work for the big tech companies, the Google, the Netflix, and all those people to be in tech. Every industry in America is powered by technology. Every industry has a technical department. Every industry has technical functions. All their interfaces, their business processes is powered by technology. So there's just so much out there that you can do in tech. You don't have to be a coder, you don't have to go to the core technical parts. There are other functional parts that you can take part in. And just like FT said, everything, there's transferable skills. There's all your skills that you have, you can transfer them into almost every industry. So just don't be scared about the names. When you see the job names, go down to what they're really describing. Don't just be scared off by the titles of the job. Really go in and read the job descriptions. You may see that those descriptions are things you can really do. You can actually, mop into.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, thank you, Buki. Like, it's important to read those job descriptions, because sometimes the name might sound really off or really scary. Because even I know some people, some industries, for example, when they say territory manager means managing an entire territory in sales and all of that. In some other industry, it could mean managing the people that work in that territory. So understanding what the role in particular is saying versus the title is very critical, so that we don't shoot ourselves in the foot or get too scared. And then I would also advise anyone that has interviews, particularly technical interviews, always reach out and ask for help. Even if it's non-technical, reach out to people that are doing the roles and ask for help. I remember a friend of mine, a company reached out, and then she saw the role, she saw the job description, she got scared, and she said no. They want to disgrace her. She's not going to disgrace her village people and do this interview. That she cannot do it. That she will not even bother. That she will not pass. And I'm like, no, do the interview. Don't let it be you that will say you can't do it. Let it be their decision. And eventually, guess what? She got the job, and she was making double what she was making in the past. And she could have actually just walked away from such a great opportunity that God was trying to use for her if she hadn't just tried. So sometimes when I even see the job description, it might sound daunting, and it might be hey, can I do this? But it's always recommended, if you can do up to 60 to 70%, sometimes even 50% of what is in the job description, then you're qualified. If you're 100% match, then most times you are down leveling yourself and you should be going for the next level. We have a few more people.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think we have three hands raised. We'll start with Mo. Hello, are you there?
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks for the conversation. I was just wondering, just for other people on the call, maybe to mention some certifications for people who are interested, the kind of certifications that might get them in early. Would certifications make a difference?
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a very valid point. For the technical part, if you want to go into cloud, in America today, we have three major companies that, or let's say in the world, we have three major companies that hold almost 80 to 90% of the cloud business. We have Amazon with AWS, Microsoft with Azure, and then we have Google with Google Cloud Platform. So you can just pick one of them and then go through the certification, because there are some parts in tech that you would need certification to prove yourself. And then there are some parts that you don't really need certification to prove yourself. They just want to see what you can do. For example, in development, you don't really need certification. They just want to see what you can do. They want to see the code you can write, the problem you can solve. But if you're going into cloud, if you're going into database, you will definitely have to do some certifications. So for cloud, just pick one of the companies and then follow through. For database, we have different companies. We have Microsoft with Microsoft SQL. We also have Oracle. Those are the two major ones. You can just pick one of them and then go through their certifications. They will probably have maybe 5 or 6, or in cloud, you might have like Google having 10 certifications in that line, Amazon having up to 10 too. You might just have to do them one by one, and keep going. And the more you do, you get your certifications, the better it gets. So for the tech area, it still majorly depends on the path you want to go into that determines the kind of certifications you want to do. But for areas like cloud and database, you will surely need certifications. FT, you want to go with the non-technical track?
Yes, for sure. I feel like you already hit the nail on the head, Captain. I'm not sure what else I can contribute, but you're, totally on point with, getting on track with database or cloud. That's a good place to start.
Okay, thank you. Abiodun, can you unmute and take the floor?
All right. So I realized the first 1 or 2 months in the tech environment, if you come in probably from a boot camp or any shallow kind of coding practice, you will likely have some hiccups, like you have some challenges, right? And I think I just want to ask if you can suggest. Of course, I had some teething problem in my first phase because I had to go. We do a lot of things. We have to know how to put together IAC infrastructure as a code for your resources on, AWS resources. You have to learn how to do the programming as well, and many other things too. So now I want to ask, you being in the environment for a while, would you be able to suggest good environment where you can actually position yourself like, oh, there are some forums that you should join if you are a tech person that would really very, very help? If you have things like that, can you share some of them?
Yeah, there's this tech group I joined on Reddit, and then there's another one created by one Nigerian in New York. His name sounds Akwa Ibom. I can't remember the name of the guy. He has a YouTube page and a big followership on LinkedIn. He created one group on Discord for Black engineers. I'll probably look for it before we finish and try and see if I can get the name of the guy and send it to you.
I will appreciate that if you can share in the group as well. Thanks a lot.
That also helps. That also helps. But for me, I think the issue, everybody, once you start, you will always have that problem. Even for people like us that actually studied computer science in school, by the time you start the programming journey, when you get to the work environment, you will always have that problem. And I feel that's where mentorship helps in the workplace, when you can see someone that can tell you, okay, you do this. And also in development, when you change industry, let's say you're in financial industry, you're coding financial industry, and then you change to like healthcare, that problem might also happen because you also need to learn that particular domain. So I think having a group definitely will help. And then also having a good mentor that will mentor you in the workplace, a good mentor in the workplace that would be able to give you that lectures that you need to be able to understand and then move on. So thank you for that. Ken, you can you can take the floor.
Okay, good day, everyone. Thank you, Captain and FT, for the session. My question is to FT. FT, you did a transition from healthcare to tech. Can you just put us through how you did it, the path you went through, so that we can take a picture of that and maybe work with that? Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Hi, Ken. So mine is it's a long story, but to summarize, before I came to the US, I had experience in e-commerce. And after coming to the US, I did my master's in public health, and I was working in, the health space. I worked in Amazon, I worked at Cummins, and then I also worked at, I was at Johnson & Johnson as a clinical health specialist, where I was working with like cardiologists, electrophysiologists, and the likes. So what I was doing, what I did in Amazon was, even though it was tech, it was core healthcare. And I knew that I wanted to be in the tech space, right? And then I knew that I looked at what I had in the past, and I knew that I could leverage that to get me closer there. So I started to look for opportunities that was in between. It was not a sudden transition. It was slow and gradual, just because I wanted to make, consistent growth. And I did not, want to have to go through like going to another school or going through another degree. So like, I found out the role at Johnson & Johnson, it was a nice blend of my experience, my business experience in an e-commerce firm in Nigeria, Jumia, and healthcare. So like, I knew what I had in my hands. I had healthcare and I had business experience. I had healthcare degree and I had business experience. So I leveraged that. I decided to like put myself in a space where I will be in the business of healthcare, knowing that that was a stopgap or that was a transition that would, ultimately lead me to being in the tech space. So I got into Johnson & Johnson, where I was in the business of healthcare, selling medical devices to cardiologists, electrophysiologists, and selling software, deploying the software. And that gave me a lot of opportunity. I was able to position myself with that to get to my current role in the business of tech. So like, I think the summary of what I'm trying to say is whatever you have in hand, look for, there's always something you can do what you have in hand, especially if you don't want to get another degree. There's always something you can do with what you have in hand. Look for what you can do with what you have in hand, and then map, do like a retrogressive journey of like, this is where I want to go, this is where I want to be, this is where I am, and then map it and see how you can use what you have right now to like get you closer to where you want to be until you ultimately become where you want to be. I have a friend that, he was doing his PhD in like was doing his PhD. His PhD is basically in biochemistry, and right now he's like a product manager. He pivoted. He went to Unilever school, did the product management program, and then after that he just started, like, he was still in the program when he started to like interview and was able to like get in that space. And he has his PhD in biochemistry, but he's also like a product manager, and he's doing really well in that space. So like, I feel like whatever you have in hand, it's always very useful, and don't be afraid of change. It takes audacity, it takes courage, it takes grit, but don't be afraid of change. I feel like I always tell myself, you are not a tree. If something is not favorable or you want to be somewhere, go out there and do it. So like, don't be afraid of change, be audacious, and then look at what you have in hand and pray a lot, ask God for counsel, because where you're going might not be where you are, might be where God wants you to be, really. So as long as you confirm that where you're going is where God wants you to be, look at what you have, leverage that, upskill, get the necessary degrees. I should also mention that in between Johnson & Johnson and my current role, I also got like some certifications that, helped me. And even in my role now, I'm not relaxed. I already got a certification earlier in the year. I'm working my next one. Like next day, I'm doing another one. Like, it's important to keep upskilling so that you are on top of your game in the market, and you are always like a step ahead. You're always hot. Your resume is always hot. Your market is always selling, and that's upskilling helps you achieve that. Upskilling helps you remain attractive. Upskilling helps you remain a viable candidate. I hope that is helpful. Okay. I hope that answers your question, Mr. Cam.
Yeah, it does. Thank you very much, FT.
Okay, you're very welcome. I think Buki had a question for me.
Okay.
Yeah, Buki was asking what I do in my day-to-day for my current role. Great question. So what do I do? I work with startups. That's my core. That's where I am, and that's where I wanted to be. So I'm working with startups, and I'm helping startups on their digital transformation journey using Google Cloud technology. So I help startups leverage Google Cloud to build their infrastructure, to ensure their infrastructure is optimized, to help them scale, to help them grow. I provide them with all the resources. I am a nice blend of like almost technical, non-technical, very businessy. So I do that for startups using Google Cloud technology. Kind of, sort of, yes.
All right, thank you. I just posted a link to that Black Engineer Support Group on LinkedIn. I also joined their group on Discord, but I'm trying to see if I can get the link from my from the Discord app on my phone. I'm still trying to figure that out. That's what I'm trying to do now. I think we have one more question. One more person actually raised up his hand. Can you take the floor, please? Do we still have anybody that want to ask a question? I think I saw 4 hands raised the other time. Anyone? Okay, can't see any hand raised right now. Mo, do you still have a question?
Yeah, sorry. Just one last question, just for aspiring tech people on that. If you mentioned something earlier on, and you said that if you're starting out, but I was just wondering, if someone is starting out in tech and they have a portfolio, would you advise that they put that on GitHub and put a link in so people can see, especially for the more technical roles? Thanks.
Yes, sure. Those things help. It helped for the recruiter and the recruiter and the recruiting manager to be able to see what you have done before, to be able to see the level at which you are in terms coding wise, to be able to see your level and to be able to see the things you can do with coding. Because as a manager, if a manager reads your code, they would be able to know whether you are still a junior developer or a mid-level or a senior. So the code works, but the way at which it's written speaks a lot on your level at the moment. So it really, really helps if you can create a GitHub or a GitLab, create one for yourself. I think as long as you're still below a particular storage, is still free, so you can just push your portfolio there and then let people see what you have done. Thank you. Any other person? For the person that asked I think it's David that asked the question on the group. If you can send your number, to me, then I can actually, once I figure out how to send the link, then I can send it to you. If you can send your number to me on chat, if you're good with that. I've been trying to see how I can figure that out, but I think I can't do that now. So I'll try to figure it out later and send the link to you. So Discord, it's a group on Discord where we have different groups, we have different subgroups. So we have people that are into back-end development, people that are into front-end development. There's a group for careers, there's a group for jobs, so if you're having issues at your workplace or something, you can post it there. You also have groups for LinkedIn if you want people to help you optimize your LinkedIn page and all sorts. It's majorly for Black people and was created by that Nigerian I talked about the other time. So thank you everyone for joining. Do we still have any question from anyone? Any question? So I think we all have been able to learn one or two things. I think we have been able to impact knowledge. I think each and every one of us has been able to at least pick up one or two things that will be beneficial to us as we as we go in our career journey. And I think we all were able to learn one or two things. I want to say thank you to everyone for joining. Thank you. FT, do we have a program next week, right?
Thank you everyone for joining. Next week, Katrina will be our host, and we have something very interesting cooked up for everyone, which we'll be sharing in the group later. Stay tuned. Prayers.
Oh, I think.
Bookie.
Okay, I think. Okay. I think you were breaking when you were actually, maybe you can repeat what you said.
Oh, yes. I said thank you everyone for joining. Next week, we have something very exciting cooked up for you, and we'll be sharing details in the group soon. Katrina will be our host, and I'm really excited for next week's edition. We'll be wrapping up with prayers now, and I nominate Buki to wrap things up for us.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know that was what you were saying.
Yeah,
okay. All right. Thank you guys for a really amazing session. So let's get into prayers in Jesus' name. Amen. Lord, we thank you for this time we've all spent together. Thank you for the knowledge that has been shared. I pray that everyone that has listened to this today will get something, will get a takeaway to help them in their process as they try to, find their footing in North America. I pray that, Father, that you will continue to infuse our hearts with wisdom and knowledge in the direction to go. Help us to make the right choices, and just give us all confidence to go after what our heart truly desires career-wise. I pray that, Father, your light, your joy, your peace will continue to guide us. And for everyone that has shared knowledge today, I pray that, Father, you will increase them in knowledge as well, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you,
thank you,
everyone,
Buki.
for joining.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Enjoy
Have a
your
blessed weekend.
enjoy the remaining
Thank you,
time
Mr.
in the meeting.
Ayo. Thank you, Captain. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Norma. Thank you, Buki.
All right.